It's fine with me if you call this a runestone. It's a stone with runes on it, right? So it's a runestone.
And essentially, this is the writing of the Vikings.
Well, that's what people believe. That's one of the three
Okay.
most common misconceptions, that this is intimately tied with the Viking Age. And indeed, the most inscriptions we have are from the Viking Age, which would be sometime between 750 perhaps until about 1100 or so. So that's the
Okay.
Viking Age. But there were runic inscriptions before then, all the way back to the 2nd century, and there are runic inscriptions afterwards, especially in the medieval times. They carved runes everywhere. And the second most common misconception is that runes are heathen in nature. Vikings were heathens and they carved runes, so they're heathen. Well, not so much, because the Viking Age, we divide into two stages. The early Viking Age, which would be from 725 to about the late 10th centuries, around, say, 970 or so. There are very few inscriptions from that era, about 5% of all the inscriptions from the Viking Age. So it really takes off at the end of the 10th century. And what happens is that there's a king in Denmark, Harald Bluetooth. I think you've heard of him, right? Because
Yeah, I've heard of Bluetooth.
yes. So that's why they named it Bluetooth. I think they were Danes. And this guy, he was the king in Denmark, and he had a very powerful king south of him in Germany. And the continent by that time was all Christian, whereas Scandinavia wasn't. And it was a legitimate thing to invade a country to Christianize them at the time. So Harald Bluetooth pulled a fast one and converted before he could be invaded. So then they no longer had the reason to invade him. And he carved this huge runestone outside his palace, or where he lived at the time, and proclaiming that he had conquered all of Denmark and Norway, which was a lie, but still, kings do lie, and also that he had made the Danes Christian. And this sort of set things off. There were already runestones at the time, but they weren't very popular. But by this initiative, this royal initiative, there's this fashion that evolved all through Denmark and all through Sweden, and carving thousands of runestones during the about 150 years following.